Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to do this task together called Do You See an Error? So here we have some student work here in front of us, and we're going to analyze this work and see, is it correct? Do we see an error? And if it is incorrect, then let's solve it to find the correct solution, and then see if we can explain the error that this student made. Now, as we look at this, I want you to think about a couple of things as you're solving it. How do you know that there's an error, and how could estimation help you to find this error? So pause the video, try to solve this, and then come back and we'll discuss it together. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to look at this problem together, and we know 23 5/10 times 11 2/10, they have that it equals 2,632. So right off, I'm thinking that seems like a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and think about some estimating. So 23 5/10 I know is close to 24, and 11 2/10 is close to 11. So we can use some of our rounding skills to do that. So I don't really want to multiply this out using an algorithm, so I know that I can multiply 23 times 10 very quickly, because 24 times 1 is 24, so 24 times 10 would be 10 times larger, so 24 times 10 is 240. Well, if I'm multiplying something 11 times, I've already multiplied it 10 times, so I'm going to multiply 24 times 1, and that is 24. So together I have multiplied that 11 times. So I'm just going to add that together, and I can easily get that 264. So 24 times 11, which, we kind of estimated here that it's got to be about 264. So now I'm thinking that this person has the decimal in the wrong place. So we think a more reasonable answer would be 263 2/10, which would be really close to our estimate here of 264. So this student had a misunderstanding here of where the decimal went. Okay, and of course this here, even if I had a 0 here, it's still 263 2/10, or I could read that as 263 20/100. Okay, so let's look at our next problem together. Do you see an error? So I want you to think about this problem. As you're thinking about it, think about how my understanding of division, this is division this time, and I'm thinking about estimation, and is this student correct? Would this answer make sense? So I'm going to pause the video here, and I want you to be thinking about what would make sense and see if you can find an error, and then come back and we will solve it together. Okay, now let's get back together here, because let's think about when we had our hundreds grids and we had when we divided them. So this one is 14 and 6,800. So I would need more than 14 of these grids, right? I would need almost 15. And then I would divide them into 200. So I'm sitting here thinking I would not even have room here to put 15 grids. So I'm not going to put all of the grids, but here are, wow, I can't even fit them all on here. So I just have 7, so I would have to have twice this many. And then I would have to shade in 200ths. So, oh my goodness, that would be, here's 100th and then 200ths. Oh gosh, it's going to take me a while, isn't it? So would it make sense that I would end up only having 7 groups? That would not make any sense, would it? So I really know that this one could not be 7 and 3/400. So I'm going to think about another way that I could solve this. So I know that that does not make sense, and we definitely want to make sense of problems when we do that. So I'm going to use some estimation here, but first I am going to, let me get just a regular pen, and I'm going to have 14 and 6/800ths divided by 200ths, and I really don't want my divisor here, this 200ths, I don't want that to be a decimal. So how can I make that not a decimal? So I'm going to multiply that by 100. Why 100? Because if I just multiplied it by 10, it would still be 2/10. So I want it to be 2. Well, anything that I do to the divisor, I have to do to the dividend. So if I multiply the dividend by 100, that means it is going to get 100 times larger. So if I multiplied it by 10, it's going to grow 1 time, but if I multiply it by 10 again, by which would be 100 total, it's going to grow again. So now I have 1,468 divided by, and let's see if this grows by 10, it would be 2/10, but if it's growing, if I multiply it by 100, then it's going to be 2. Okay, so now I'm thinking if I just have 1,400 or 1,400, and because I'm going to estimate, oh, let me erase that right here. Let me get a different color because I'm going to estimate here. Oops, estimate. So, and I picked 1,400 because I can divide that very easily. 1,400 is, as I know, 14 divided by 2 is 7, and I know that 1,400 or 1,400 divided by 2 is 700. Okay, so the estimate, it is about 700. So do you think it's more than 700 or less than 700? Well, it's more than 700 because it is 1,468. So I could take 1,468 and divide it by 2. I can start off with that estimate because that's going to help us. 2 times 700 is 1,400. If I subtract that, that's 68. If I have 68, I'm thinking, what could I multiply? And so I'm thinking 30, because 2 times 30 is 60. I subtract that and I have 8. So 2 times 4 is 8. Let me write that a little bit smaller so I have some room. So now I don't have any. So how many times did I multiply that by? 734. So that means 1,468 divided by 2 equals 734, which is the same as 14 68 hundredths divided by 2 hundredths is 734. So this student had a very misunderstanding about where that decimal place went. So great work today, boys and girls, helping us find the error.